If I was a Georgia fan, here's the one thing that would really, and I mean really concern me about this Ole Miss team. Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin has the recipe to beat you. I don't know how to come out and say this nicely, so I'm just going to say it. It's much easier said than done. Man, oh man, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I'm not going to sit up here and act like I'm not already hyped just thinking about this Ole Miss and Georgia game, because I am. This is a game I've been looking forward to, not just the past couple of days, but the past couple of weeks. It's such an intriguing matchup to me because, come on, man, first things first, anytime Lane Kiffin's involved in a college football matchup is going to be intriguing itself. But what has me so invested in this game and what has me looking forward to it so much is I want to see what this Lane Kiffin offense can do against this Georgia defense. The one thing I've learned over my many years watching Lane Kiffin lead this Ole Miss team is that anything can happen. Anything's possible. If you were to sit up here and tell me, you know what, Matt, I think Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss, they're going to keep it close and Georgia only wins by 3, I could understand that perspective. I could see that happening, but also on the contrary, if you're a Georgia fan, you're saying, yo, Matt, we're going to kill them and we're going to beat them by 30. I could also see that happening. The possibilities are endless, and I'm extremely curious. Please, let me know in the comment section. Number one, not just one thing, but number one, who do you have winning the game? And number two, please explain why. I would just love to hear y'all's different perspectives because I know all the opinions are going to vary. And now that I think about it, yeah, this is the 3rd straight week we're making a separate preview video for the Georgia game. Because most of y'all know we do one big preview video, but if there's a big time game, we'll do a single video. And this is the 3rd week in the row Georgia gets their own separate preview video because we did Florida, Missouri last week, and now Ole Miss. The final score for the Missouri game was 30-21. I was correct. I did pick Georgia to win this game, but I can't remember my score prediction. I wonder if I even did one. Let me check. Oh, here it is. I was actually really close. I had Georgia winning 34-20. Not bad, not bad. Actually, that's really close, really close. I got to clap it up for myself because that's one of my better predictions this year. We'll take that, we'll take that. But however, that's in the past. It doesn't matter. Yesterday's home runs aren't going to win today's game, so we got to show up today and perform. I don't know why I'm acting like I'm actually going to be playing in the game. I'm just calling the game. But you get the whole analogy. We got to keep this momentum going, and I'm going to try my best to have another good prediction here. And oh yeah, by the way, real quick, I got to throw it in there. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, you see the number on the screen. We are less than 600 subscribers away from 300K. That is a huge milestone. You know what I'm about to say next. And without being too corny, on a serious note, if you do like college football content and you're not already a part of our community, consider joining. We'd love to have you here and also get us one step closer to our goal. Today's Thursday, so can we hit 300K by Saturday? I don't know. I guess I'd wait and see. Now, with that being said, let's get into this game. We got number 2. I hate even saying that, but we got number 2, Georgia. BS, by the way, up against number 9, Ole Miss and the Lane Train. The good old Lane Train. But first things first, I say I give a little introduction to Ole Miss because we all know Georgia's good, but it seems like a lot of people have forgotten about this Ole Miss team ever since they lost to Alabama. Seemed like everybody wrote them off and was like, oh yeah, Lane Kiffin can't get over the hump. He can't beat Nick Saban. It's going to be another 8-4 year for Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss. And yeah, that hasn't been the case because ever since the Bama game, Ole Miss has done nothing but win all their games. They have quietly been laying low under the radar and just continue to win and win and win. And you look up and they're in the top 10. And I said this a couple weeks ago. I said, guys, what if Ole Miss wins out, beats Georgia? They don't go to the SEC championship because Alabama holds a tiebreaker, and they're sitting there 11-1 at the end of the season. They have a shot of making the playoff. People haven't even brought up that case and scenario, but they will have a shot. To me, at least, if you beat a team who hasn't lost in 26 games, yeah, you got to be considered. And also, Ole Miss does have a quality loss. I mean, losing Alabama is about as quality as it gets. I'll give you a little refresher here, though. Ole Miss is 8-1. Let me show you some of their scores. They have a top 25 win against Tulane. That's looking good now. They beat what looks like a decent Georgia Tech team by 25 points. After that, they had a few snooze fests with Arkansas, Auburn, and Vanderbilt, but they took care of business. And a lot of people take that for granted. That's one of the hardest things to do in this sport is win the games you're supposed to win. And most recently last week, they had a very impressive win over Texas A&M, which, by the way, Texas A&M has more talent than Ole Miss, and Ole Miss still won. And now here we are. They match up with Georgia, and we really get to see what they're made out of. Because I would love to sit up here and overhype this A&M, Vandy, Auburn, Ole Miss, and LSU win, but come on now. They're not Georgia. They're not Alabama. I'll put it to you like this. This is Ole Miss' biggest test since the Alabama game, and they laid an egg against Alabama. They didn't even score in the second half. I haven't even looked at it, but off the top of my head, I'm sure this line is probably something like 12 points, double digits, because nobody's believing in Ole Miss. Where's it at? Where's it at? Let me pull it up right here. Well, I lost it. Oh, wait, no, here it is. Yeah, Georgia, 10.5-point favorite. Oh, night game too. I got that in there. Night game at Georgia. Man, That'd be an awesome game to go to. So with me giving you a little introduction on the Ole Miss team, I'm not going to give you one on Georgia because we already know about Georgia. Let's talk about the quarterbacks. Obviously, quarterback play matters, and I'd say both these quarterbacks in this game are 1A, 1B. If tomorrow I was announced as the Alabama head coach and I had to draft a quarterback in this game, either Jackson Dart or Carson Beck, it wouldn't matter to me. I would flip a coin. I think both guys are great, and also, gotta throw this in there, I think both guys are highly underrated. Carson Beck has played amazing this year, and it somewhat blows my mind he's not getting any Heisman love. On the flip side for Jackson Dart, he has lived up to the hype and expectations. I'm not really shocked that Jackson Dart has looked great this year because I was telling people last year he was great. So I'm really not going to sit up here and hype these quarterbacks up too much. You should know they're really good. So right there's no edge for either team, 1A, 1B on quarterback play. Taking a look at the running backs here, you got Quinshon Judkins and Dejon Edwards, 1A, 1B. And I have heard rumors, but there's no way it's going to happen, that Brock Bowers might play. I don't know where I saw that, but I thought it was ludicrous. I don't think he's going to play. So receivers and tight ends, I'm going to say 1A, 1B as well. You could say Georgia has better tight end play because they utilize them a little bit more, but Ole Miss has more than capable wide receivers. If I was a Georgia fan, here's the one thing that would really, and I mean really concern me about this Ole Miss team. Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin has the recipe to beat you. But whoa, hold on. That doesn't mean I'm saying they're going to beat you, and that doesn't mean I'm saying they have a great chance of beating you. I'm just saying they have the recipe. There's a big difference from having the recipe and actually cooking the recipe how it's supposed to be made. Big difference to say the least. What is that recipe, you may ask? Number one, have a dual threat quarterback that's really good at passing and can also scramble. Check. Number two, have an offensive-minded head coach that's going to take some risk and gambles. Check. And last but not least, and number three, have a high-powered offense. Check. Ole Miss checks off all the boxes. They have the recipe to beat Georgia. You're not going to beat Georgia in a defensive slugfest. It's not going to happen. The only way you beat Georgia is the same way Bryce Young beat them and Mac Jones beat them a couple years ago. You are going to have to outscore them, okay? It's as plain and as simple as that. The same recipe to beat Georgia is the same recipe you use to beat Alabama. And the good thing is for Ole Miss fans is, yes, your offense is more than capable of scoring points. You have a top 15 offense in the country. But with all that good stuff being said, I have to present you with the very unfortunate bad news. I don't know how to come out and say this nicely, so I'm just going to say it. It's much easier said than done. What does that mean? Well, I'll put it to you like this. If Georgia plays not even their A+ game, if Georgia plays their A game, Ole Miss can't beat them. It just can't happen. Two things have to happen for Ole Miss to win. Number one, they have to play their A+ game. Can't make any mistakes. And number two, Georgia has to make a couple mistakes. I wouldn't say a lot of things, but I would say some things have to happen just for Ole Miss to have a chance to pull off this upset. Whereas for Georgia, nothing has to happen for them to win. If they play their A game, end the ball game, end of story. But since Alabama and Georgia are similar in their defensive schemes and whatnot, let's take a look at how Ole Miss fared off against Alabama. I know it was about, 6 weeks ago, but let's still take a look at it. In this ball game, Ole Miss only scored a miserable 10 points, and Jackson Dart, here's his numbers. 20 for 35, and not the best, 250 yards, 0 touchdowns, and 1 interception, QBR of 67. Not bad at all, but here's the thing. Not good enough to beat Alabama or Georgia. If Jackson Dart puts up these numbers against Georgia, they won't win. No. They won't even have a chance. Scratch that. Also, another thing that hurt Ole Miss so much in the Alabama game is they only had 56 rushing yards. I'll be the first person to tell you, you're not going to run on Georgia, but you at bare minimum got to cross the 100-yard threshold. Why is that 100-yard threshold so important? Because number one, it keeps Georgia off balance, and number two, it has them respecting the run. What happened in this Ole Miss game is Alabama just quit respecting the run, and they just pinned their ears back, and they were blitzing Jackson Dart left and right, and he couldn't do anything. Jackson Dart, outside that one interception, didn't play poorly in the Alabama game. He just didn't have any help. The running game for Ole Miss has to have at least 100 yards. That's the magic number. And I know a lot of people are sitting there saying, well, Matt, 100 yards ain't nothing. Well, it is against Georgia. And keep in mind, I'm just telling you reasons as to how Ole Miss even has a chance in the game. I'm not even talking about winning the game. For me, at least, and this may shock a lot of people, I think Ole Miss is going to see more success against this Georgia defense than the Alabama defense. This Georgia defense all year long, it seems like every team is scoring right at 20 points against them. I think Ole Miss is going to have a couple chunk plays. I think Jackson Dart might throw for 300 yards, and I expect Ole Miss to score 24 points in this ball game. But here's the problem with this. We haven't even talked about this. The Georgia offense against the Ole Miss defense. The Ole Miss defense, you saw it against LSU, you saw it against Texas A&M. Not very good, but Is that going to shock anybody? It's a Lane Kiffin-led team. The defense has never been good. With that being said, Georgia also, at least in my humble opinion, has the top 10 offense in the nation. They're beyond balance. They run the ball great, they pass the ball great, and they do everything else great. We should really talk about that more because their offense gets so underhyped just because when you hear Georgia, you think of defense. But no, my friend. This Georgia offense is legit. They are extremely balanced, and I don't see how Ole Miss can stop them. I think Georgia, they surpass 30 points, and they get 38. So with that being said, you know my prediction. I got Georgia win this game 38-24. Yet again, one more time. Georgia, 38 points. Ole Miss, 24. With that being said, I need to clarify this. I think Jackson Dart is going to play a good game, and I think he's going to make some plays. But in my humble opinion, I just don't see how you could sit up here and say that Ole Miss is going to hold Georgia to under 30 points. The X factor in this game will be the Ole Miss defense. If they step up, they got a chance. If they don't step up, they don't have a chance. And that's the funny thing about this, because a lot of people think Jackson Dart and the offense and the running game's the X factor, but no, I disagree. I think that's a big factor, but not the X factor. X factor is the Ole Miss defense, the entire unit. I'm rocking and rolling with 38-24. I'm curious. Let me know your thoughts down below.